Welcome to Full Disclosure, where the only thing more volatile than our mood while recording are interest rates.
Well, since we're going to go with the, what was it we said earlier, charmingly disheveled vibe, let's go right into the vibe check and talk about how everybody's doing. About a month from conference season going into full swing with lots of things going on right now. What's the vibe?
Lightly manic. It would be wrong not to mention. And I think honestly, we're simultaneously more prepared than we ever have been, while also being 2 weeks behind. I think, yeah, like at the end of the day,
You're just setting a higher bar for yourself, right? Because
Mhm.
you've done it before, and that's kind of the manic part of
part of
most of what we're doing. You go like, okay, we're gonna push, we can do better. You know, every year keep moving forward.
exactly. And I think that's the thing when you're continuously improving on things. All the things that you did last year, you still have to do. You're just adding more.
Yeah, you done set a precedent.
You set a precedent.
Yeah.
And I like to think that we have set a pretty high bar for
Yeah.
ourselves
Yeah.
in terms of performance. And at the end of the day, our first quarter really sets us up for the rest of the year in what that looks like. So this is really about setting that groundwork and that foundation for the house we're going to build this year.
Ooh, I like that.
While we're still on the topic of conferences, I'll ask. Let's try a 3-pronged question, see how it goes. What do vendors want at a conference season? What do lenders want at a conference season? Are these things in harmony or at odds?
Ooh,
Depends. I think it depends on the show.
yes.
I think for one of the larger shows, the ICE Experience show, the lenders who come want to learn more about Encompass, right? Because these are the in the weeds Encompass folks. They want to know about all the vendors they can work with, all the things that can happen in Encompass, people getting their certifications. And that's probably, as a vendor, the show where we get the most leads too. So usually my answer isn't leads coming out of a show, except for that one. Really.
Yes.
Other shows, NBA Secondary in May, that's a partnership show, right? That's a great show of connecting with partners. It's also a much lower investment. We're sending fewer people. It's a drive up to New York, sitting in a hotel room for a night. It's a pretty low stakes conference in that regard. So it all depends on the investment, the conference, and kind of the composure of who's going. More local conferences, people are probably just going for a good time, right? So it can really vary.
Yeah, and I think, there are times that it's at odds. My top performing LinkedIn post from last year was me calling vendors out on sending bad emails, right? So I think there is a piece of that as well, is especially in the prep of a conference. I think vendors and lenders have very different goals going into a show, right? Because vendors have this pressure. And thankfully at Lodestar, we don't have too much of this pressure because we also have the trust from a few years of like, we can go to a conference without like a conference like ICE and feel like our calendar isn't booked. And yes, I will be anxious every single time getting on the plane. But by the end of the happy hour on Monday night, we have full schedules, right? Because a lot of lenders really do take the time to get meetings at the show rather than pre-show because I've talked to lenders, they're getting hundreds of emails a day from.
Which is what you mean by bad emails, is like pre-show vendor emails soliciting.
Well, bad emails specifically, I'll probably post some.
I get
in
even
the weeks,
emails
but
about emails for shows I'm not going to.
yeah.
Right. Of like, let's meet at this show, a consumer finance conference. I'm like, that's not a real conference and I'm not going to.
Also, if you're sending an email asking for a meeting and just say that you improve efficiency or operational excellence, like, I'm sorry, I don't know what you do. So, like, I think that's also a big piece is like a lot of people think that they have to send these pre-show emails because it's what we've always done, right? And we're at the point where they're no longer effective.
Oh, my other email pet peeve too is when someone sends an email with respond or RE in the subject line, but they never actually talked to you before. So they're like following up on my last email, which is not a real email in the first place. But they think if it's a response, you can say that. And then if you do respond to them, it says RE, which is stupid. So or like, oh, we, are like a fake forwarded email from a coworker of like, you should really talk to Jim. He's doing great things.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's so ambiguous, but it kind of it tricks you into like looking at it.
Also, your AI emails, we can tell. Like everyone can tell, and it's just annoying.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big piece of this is just I think on both sides it's about respect,
Yep.
right? Everyone's time is worth value is valuable. And I think that's the thing to remember going into conferences. Lenders, don't say yes to a meeting you're not going to show up to.
Oh my God.
Like, please, especially if it's like an 8 a.m. breakfast meeting that you're making me go to. I'm so sorry. I've had lenders show me to like an 8 a.m. breakfast meeting.
Yeah.
And it's just,
It's like
I could have slept in.
no, it's the second best answer you can get, right? And I
Exactly.
think one of the things I've learned now over the years with conferences is you have the confidence to leave some blanks in your schedule because it actually helps, right? You're able to then fit in those people or the people you run into where things come up and are more urgent. So
Yeah. And I think,
and that's also having a great team too,
Mhm.
like you all, makes it helpful because I know everyone is also meeting with people and things are happening, and then I can go and support you. No, I'm not even going to experience of it.
Jim's gonna have some light FOMO. It's fine.
Yeah. I think I am too this year. Yeah, experience is fun. In Vegas, you can say everything you want to about like, oh, it's overwhelming. It's a lot. You get there, it's fun.
It's a good show. There's nothing like it.
So yeah, but I think at the end of the day, magic can happen at shows, right? Like it sounds stupid, but it is. Like vendors and lenders sometimes can have these really great conversations about moving the industry forward and solving problems. Our newest tool, Closing Clarity, came out of a show where we talked to one of our clients face to face, right? So I think the argument for face-to-face meetings is so strong.
You get a lot more organic feedback, and I always get a good sense of where we're at as a company and what's important going forward, and kind of that vibe from the show, which is what I've come to really enjoy out of it.
Yeah, I just heard the Lizzie McGuire soundtrack in my head. Miracles happen once in a while.
Once in a while, magic happens and good things happen. I think that's, at the end of the day, that's what we're all looking for. And I think it's important to remember we're all trying to make housing better.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's important to remember. And for both vendors and lenders.
Yeah.
Well, unrelated to Lizzie McGuire, but very much related to the state of housing and making it better. You mentioned something in our regulation rundown segment, which I will plug right here. Regulation rundown is great. You should watch it. You talked about how there is increased pressure for lenders to be super well informed right now, and for lenders, home buyers together, prospective home buyers. If you see that rate, let lock go. I wondered if you could say more about that pressure and kind of what that's been like, kind of read just a general vibe check.
I think there's a lot of conversation in the industry about education, right? And what that looks like. Should marketing handle it? Should sales handle it? All of that. And I think a lot of it comes down to the individual LO, unfortunately, right? I think there are companies that can handle it, right? I think there's a big piece of conversation about how like SoFi has grown their mortgage business so much in the recent years because there's trust already built there, right? Because they might have their student loans or their personal loans or their credit card or something like that. So we're seeing more of those banks and those financial institutions step into mortgage. So they're going to be in a position to provide borrower education from a marketing level. But people who are still going to go to individual LOs and take the reference from a friend or go on a website, right? Those are the people you have to provide that same level of education to. So when you're looking at the bigger institutions, what are they saying, right? You can kind of copy them. I hate to say it, but like there is some level of that, right?
I like that difference of the marketing level versus the individual level.
Yeah, that's really good distinction. As well as like just the precedent of learning from somebody else's success. You know,
Like,
is it stealing? Maybe. Is it a good idea? Probably.
So much of it too is expertise is so specialized now, right? So knowing where the right resources for people is can be difficult too, of even just pointing them in the right direction, right? Like I gave the example earlier of a friend of mine looking to refinance his mortgage and go down like, 60 basis points, right? Which it probably could be worth it. It's significant enough. I don't even know enough information without looking at it. So I can't all I could really do is tell them what questions to ask.
But that's a valuable resource, right? And I think to that piece, right, it's really important for first-time home buyers to have access to that information. And you see it across Instagram, you see it across TikTok. Lenders who are online talking about first-time home buyers just get these crazy loan numbers because they're filling a void. Right. And there are can you do something different? Can you target investors, right? Can you target first time investors? Can you target who can you become a specialist for? And I think that's what we're going to see more and more of is loan officers who become specialists
Mhm.
in their categories. Saying as specialists, it's pretty easy to be a specialist, right? Is like Rocket is always going to exist. These
Yeah.
big shops are always going to exist. So how do you differentiate
Yeah.
yourself? Is
And
the
that's
big
something I
piece.
preach so much when people are starting businesses too. It's find your niche, find your niche, find your niche. And I think it really holds true for loan officers. And like everyone feels like, oh, I can't say no to things. Let me just say yes to everything, get what I can and figure it out. Right. But when you say yes to everything, you're really accepting nothing, right? You're not able to get that specialty. You're not able to get that expertise. And what happens is, when you do find your niche, you're able to solve more valuable problems for people. You're able to get better at a specific type of thing. You're able to find customers more easily,
Mhm.
which is super important. So it's kind of counterintuitive of like,
Mhm.
let me say no as much as possible and really hone down on one specific niche. But for most businesses, for most loan officers, it's the right decision.
Because at the end of the day, you're not going to get everybody, right? And I think that's an important thing to know in
You don't
sales.
need to.
And you don't need to.
Yeah.
There's enough of a market to
Right.
find your niche
Yeah.
and work that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're going to see more and more of is these
Mhm.
hyper specific loan officers that can sell specific
Yeah.
programs and all of that, right? Is there a reverse
Yeah.
mortgage expert out there that can actually have real conversations with
Yeah.
aging seniors about how they can get the equity out
Yeah.
of their home?
A Spanish speaking LO.
Yeah.
Right? Focusing only on Spanish, like folks whose primary language is Spanish. Mandarin, or you insert the language there. Like, perfect.
Like there's a lot of opportunities in the market. And I think especially as these big lenders become bigger in mortgage, right? We've all joked about Amazon entering the mortgage industry, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
And that's not going to go away. It's
Yeah.
only going to become more prevalent. So LOs have to get ahead of it. And I think mortgage companies that exist today have to get ahead of
Yeah.
it in training their LOs.
Yeah.
And you see it. Lenders are doing it, and the lenders who are doing it well, I
Right.
think will continue to be around.
Or
for a
they
long
just
time.
want it for our lenders, moreover, to try to acquire those LOs, which is less successful.
Resources are important for salespeople.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for watching this episode of Full Disclosure. If you like our content, please like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We really appreciate it. We like to be able to continue to create good content. And we hope that this is good content. We think it is, but let us know if you don't think so in the comments down below.
Full disclosure, if you don't like us, why are you watching this?
Yeah.